They say if you have to ask, then you can't afford it. I'm telling you right now, those are lies. Can we talk about the money? Are you ready? Can we talk about it? Are you ready? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Gwendolyn G.R. Houston Jack, and welcome to another afternoon of learning with HouJack DMS live learning. Today we want to talk about money. Talk about the money. So we're in our third part of the selling series, and surely we all knew that we would have to get to a point where we have to talk about the money. So before we get started, let's make sure everybody knows exactly where we are streaming to. Today it's Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And if you are on YouTube, you can like, share, and subscribe to HouJack DMS. You also want to get some other things. I'm also at GR Houston Jack. But this will let you know when the latest, the greatest is coming out. So if you want to, you can also hit that notification bell. But I want to talk about the money today because it is part of this selling conversation. We got to talk about it. People hate talking about it. People hate talking about selling. For some reason, selling is this really awful, dirty word. It is not. Nothing wrong with selling. Perhaps there's been some people that made you feel funny about it. But selling itself is not awful at all. So today's conversation, we're going to talk about the money. We're going to look at society's issues with money, the seller's issues with money, and underneath that, specifically, 4 topics. 1, you are not your customer. 2, selling with your pocketbook. 3, discomfort with your worth. Lastly, bespoke pricing. And then, can we talk about value and how it is not attached to money? And then we'll summarize everything, right? We'll get it all together. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about society and society's issues with money. Our society, dude, man, we love to keep people in the dark. We love it. As a matter of fact, the fact that we don't talk enough to each other about what is going on, the underlying issues that we've had for ever, is why we're in the state that we're in. You know, if you work with any company, friends, whatever, you will have people say, hey, you know, when you're out there, here's a couple of things to avoid. Don't talk about money, sex, religion, politics, race. You'll be good. Well, how exactly are you supposed to fix anything if you never talk about it? Like, that math does not add up at all. So that's one thing. So because of that, a lot of people don't like talking about those topics. They're very taboo. You don't talk about the money. You don't share your salary. You don't talk, you just, mum is the word. Mum is the word. This is how gatekeepers are born. Because if you are so lucky to meet someone who will give you the knowledge that you need, you got 1 or 2 choices. You either keep that behavior going, or you say, you know what? I'm going to break down the gate. I'm going to let everybody know what's going on. So open discussions break down the barriers, and it adds perspective, right? It puts information in everybody's hand. Not saying it's all great, but you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. So we have to have these open discussions. So here's my idea for you. If you are a person who is currently suffering from discussing money, get you a safe circle. I have a safe circle. I said this before, I'm going to say it again. I have a very small circle of people that I can talk about the money and not have any fear of judgment, being looked upon differently. You want a place where you can be your authentic self. Don't lie about it, because lying does nothing for you, right? If you have a question, ask the question. So get you a safe circle. That's the one thing I'm going to suggest for everybody. Even if you feel good with it, get you a safe circle. That's the way to start. Now that we know the issues with our society, can we talk about the seller? Okay. Now, a lot of salespeople bring their own individual issues into the selling relationship. Oy vey, vey, vey. A lot of it. I'm going to specifically talk to the business owners because we kind of get confused, right? We like to bring our personal business, personal money practices, pardon me, into the business environment. If you are on shaky ground with your personal finances, is a very good chance you'll be on shaky ground with your business finances. Why? Because those things are related. You're not like a different person when you go to work. You are the same person. That mindset, it is there. So if you're not feeling great as is with handling your funds on the personal side, it will just roll on over to the business side. When we talk about selling, people love what they sell. They love what they offer. They love what they create. But guess what? That selling relationship is not about you. It's not about you. It's never been about you. But we forget like why we're there. We forget that in the selling position, you are there to provide a service, a product. Therefore, it is about your customer. It is never about you. And we often bring into that relationship what we would or wouldn't do with our own money. It's not about the salesperson. A salesperson's job, the only thing they should really be concerned with is delivering what their customer or potential customer needs, wants, and deserves. That's the only focus. There is no other focus. That is it. We are there to serve. We are there to resolve an issue, to fill a need. That's why we're there. Now we're going to talk about the real nitty gritty, because this is what you came for. So a couple of things that we have noticed, and I hear it often, which I'm like, you didn't really do all your research, but who am I to judge, right? I'm in my glass house throwing stones, but my windows stay open. So salespeople, and we'll say this for all persons who are small business owners, you are typically also your sales team. But we often don't recognize that we are not our ideal client. We are not. A lot of us like to say it. The person I'm serving looks just like me and does this and that. You are not your ideal client. Just because you are able to purchase one or two things that your ideal client is purchasing does not make you your ideal client. You are not he, she, or they. You are not. Put you in the same. It does not put you in the same box. It does not put you on the same level. It does not make you your customer avatar. It doesn't. So when people start seeing themselves as their client, they design for themselves, right? They're not talking to their ideal audience. They just kind of start talking to everybody. It's not on purpose. It's just one of those things where they get off track. And so in their attempt to sell to everybody, because they haven't really honed in on who they're talking to, they end up selling to no one. It's just a lot of white noise. A lot of white noise. So in this area, in regards to money, you need to know your ideal client down to the last penny. The last penny. That's how deep you need to get into that avatar. into the description of your ideal client. You got to talk about the money. You can't say, oh, well, I believe, I think they do like you got to get into it. Understand what they value, what they don't value. That's how intense you want to be. But first and foremost, you are not your customer. You're not. And I've heard people say, well, if you're doing what your customer does, then they'll, no. I recall really quickly, back in the day when Coach and Michael Kors found themselves in some different stores, your Rosses, your Marshalls, stuff like that. So when the help started purchasing Coach and Michael Kors, do you really think the person hiring them wants to have that handbag? I'm going to say it again. You are not your customer. All right. Next one. Most important. This one is as old as Methuselah. But yet and still we have to keep talking about it because it's what it is. Selling with your pocketbook. All right. So our subconscious always shows up when it comes to money. It shows up. It just does. If you're a heavy spender, it shows up. If you are really tight with all the coins, it shows up. It typically shows up in how we speak about things and our tone of voice. Well, this one is $3,000. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but you can get it. It's like $100. Right? It's the way that we say things. It's the way we say it. It's the word choice. But for some reason, we attach how we would spend our money to the selling relationship. I wouldn't buy it, but yeah. And I mean, it's across the board. Whether you don't see it a lot with car salespeople. You don't see it there. But you do see it in other places. And it's not on purpose. It's not malicious. It's just one of those where we're really relaxed with how we say things. And we're like, I wouldn't buy it, but, It's like, oh, well, okay. It's not about you. It's not about you. Right? But we focus on how much we would spend or wouldn't spend on a product or services. And, that subconscious actions, those thoughts, they block our blessings when it comes to sales because it ain't about you, right? We inadvertently tell someone, you really don't want to buy that. You really don't want to buy that. No, Okay, this is word choice. Well, the hemming and the hawing, all of that tells the person, you don't really want to buy this. So why would they? If you don't come in with the confidence of, for what you're doing, it's going to be like 2,000. That's minimum because it could be more. Facial expressions, the words you use, your tone of voice, all of that speaks to how you feel about your money. Now, the sooner you realize it's not about you and you give that up, the better off this will be, the easier it will be. Get out of your pocketbook. Put your pocketbook away. Your wallet, put it away. It's not about you. But here's the one that is about you and that will cause you to do a little work. This is the one. Discomfort with your worth. All right, sidebar. We have an issue with getting what we're worth. If you do not start early with understanding who you are and what you bring to the table, what you bring into a relationship, it's really hard to get yourself into the game. Can it be done? Of course it can be. But the sooner you realize your worth and not ask, demand it, the better off you will be. Hands down. We see this when it comes to negotiating salaries. We see this in terms of discussing pay before we take the job. We see it across the board. If you suffer with getting your value, demanding your value before you're a small business person, it only travels with. Like, these behaviors don't just magically go away because you have changed where you're working. It is still there. There's work that needs to be done there. You know how people tell you, well, I can only offer you like $18 an hour. Your next question should be, okay, great. Well, if that's the case, what is your salary increases look like on an annual basis? What does that look like? Your performance reviews. What does that look like? Because if you're going to pay me $18.05 the next year, then we might as well stop talking, because that's not going to work. Now, as a person who was a hiring manager, are there budgets? By golly, there are budgets. Yes, there are times where you really just don't have the money. However, an extra quarter, 50 cents, even $1, it's not going to break the bank. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that right now. So ask for it. Be sure you ask. Now, with that said, let's talk about worth. All right, if you have discomfort discussing money in your personal life, it's going to show up here because you're not comfortable getting those words out of your mouth. They need to be like, bleh, just fall off your tongue, right? Whether it's a tangible product or a service, you must communicate your worth to others. Now, people assume that lowballing is the way to go. If I come in low, I'll have more customers. Remember that idea of trying to sell to everyone so you sell to no one? Yeah, that shows up here too. Lowballing does not help you. You know, if it's too good to be true, yeah, that's that. If what you're offering is so great, but it's damn near free, why would I ever put myself in that position? Something must be wrong. Something must not be right with the Kool-Aid. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, right? So when we don't really believe in what we're worth, we do the woo thing where we offer discounts. We haggle with the prices. No, the price is the price. And the price does go up, sometimes daily. I mean, hello, you guys have bought gas. It ain't like it can't go up. Trust. Know your numbers. Know your numbers. Know how much you need to bring in before you get out of the bed. Who is it? Linda Evangelista? Was that the one? She was like, so I don't get out of bed for less than 10,000. Hey, you need that mindset, right? Talk about the money. Use daily affirmations to grow your confidence. You got to talk to yourself. And people say, oh my God, that's so nutty. No, it's not. You have to remind yourself daily of what you are worth. And very soon, it becomes second nature, right? Because at that point, you're like, I'm not taking anything less than $30 an hour, right? Plain and simple. But you have to do that work. That's on you. That may take some time because you're letting go of all the things that someone has said to you. That requires perhaps a therapist, a coach, I don't know. But you got to work on that. Got to work on it. My favorite, bespoke pricing. My favorite. Now, I will say this. We need it. Bespoke pricing is not some setup. It's not. It is necessary. It is. If you have to ask the price, that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Now, I know, I want to say the saying was, if you have to ask the price, you probably can't afford it. Those are lies. Absolutely lies. That's another way to gatekeep. It's another way, in my opinion, to get over on you. You better ask the price. Now, a lot of business owners, creatives offer one of a kind items and services. Therefore, it is it is special. It's made just for you. It is custom. Now, bespoke is quite popular right now. Everybody wants to be an individual. Everybody wants to stand apart from the masses. So this is a custom so-and-so. It's a custom da-da-da. This was handmade. So we know that bespoke pricing has a place in the selling environment. It is part of this conversation. If you have to ask, yeah, you can afford it. You're doing it right. You can. I don't see a price tag though. I need to know what the price is so I can figure out my value. Always ask for the price. You always ask. Because I need to know before I buy it, is it worth it to me? Is it worth it? That whole deal of, well, if you have to ask, no. No. Feel good in asking. The more people who tear down that lie, the better off the world will be. I'm telling you that right now. The better off it will be. So with bespoke pricing, here's the thing that impacts a good chunk of us. Value is not attached to money. It's not. It's by no means attached, right? There is a place for a bespoke because it is custom. And because it's custom, I can't always tell you what the end cost will be. I can give you like a roundabout. If you put in some additional things, it may go up, it could go down, take off. But, we have to have it. Now, the cost of a service or a product is not automatically attached to the value because value is subjective. It is subjective. My husband does not believe that sneakers should cost more than $20. I don't know what era of fashion he's living in, but that's him. And he will go and buy all the cheapest whatever. He might get 2 or 3 wearings and then he'll buy something else. I'm not a fan of fast fashion. I want to get what I need for XYZ price this one time, save my time, gas, and money, and be done. He's not, but it depends on other things. Oh, he's researching and he's checking all the boxes. Value is subjective. Cost does not equal value. Now, there is a perceived value by a higher price. So now we're playing with some psycho things here. We're getting to the people's heads. Groupthink. Well, if it's this much, it must be good. Well, not necessarily, because we know that just because a bottle of wine costs crazy dollars does not mean it's a great bottle of wine. Depends on your palate. Now, tangible items like cars, TVs, electronics, they do well in that space. They do well with upfront pricing because you can see what you're getting. You can see if I do 23-inch rims versus 20, you can see if I do the 4K TV versus the 8K TV, like you can see like how they're different. That part's easy for tangible items. For those of us who do services, individual products that are custom made, we don't always do well when we publish our pricing because the customer can't always see the value. Now, typically, you can do whatever you want to do. I have average pricing, on my website, average pricing. Because I feel like the person should know what the average customer ticket is before they come in. Here's where we start. Here's the average ticket. If that's not where you thrive, there ain't no need in talking. It's done. Could you spend more? Yes. Could you spend less? But you're going to spend at least $1,000, so that's your choice. Right? But services rarely do well when they have their product prices just on the internet. Right? Anything over $1,000 typically is going to require a conversation with your potential customer because they need to understand the value for them. That part's not there. Like they can't see that automatically. That's not there. So if you're a person who's like, well, do I want to share it? Yes, put it out there. Put it out. Like it's their choice. Right? But You have to communicate that value. They're not going to understand it. The person who says, and of course I have the best photographer, person says, well, you're charging me 1,000, she's charging me 500. How is it different? That requires conversation. It depends on what they value. If they value just to get an image that's digital, then by all means, go with Sally Sue. If you're looking for an experience and then other things, then I may very well be your person, right? But you got to talk about the money. Please do not believe that you're going to go into a selling relationship and never talk about the money. I talk about the money during the consultation. If your budget is $300, we don't have much to talk about. We don't. We need to start getting to a place of transparency. Transparency in the hiring process, transparency in the selling process. What are we hiding? We don't need to hide any of this stuff. There is no need. You got questions, I got answers. Let's talk about it. But a lot of us bring that hesitation, right? That ridiculous fake sense of pride. Like, I don't want to be the one to ask. You better ask, because that's your job. If you don't ask for $25 an hour, you're not going to get it, kid. If you don't ask what the performance review process is like and what the average increase is, you're not going to get it. Closed mouths do not get fed. They also don't make the sale, but that's for a different conversation. Today, look at yourself and ask yourself, where am I on this money scale? Do I feel comfortable talking about money? Or do I need to work on discussing my worth? Do I need to figure out what's working for me? Do I know my ideal client down to the last red penny? And copper really isn't red, but that's a whole nother discussion. I don't know why I went down that way. We got to ask those questions. They require it. Now, we have gotten to the end of our story. Oh, the last one is putting it all together. We got to put it all together. We talked about your client type. We talked about the personality. We've talked about the money. Are you ready to sell? Are you ready to really get out there and do some things? I am. I am so ready. So first things first, if you have questions, we have answers. By all means, send me an email. You can leave a comment on this live learning. Send an email to grhjack@HouJackDMS.com. Again, you can leave a comment here either on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. It's your choice. Your choice. We will answer all those questions. And we can even just have a conversation, because it's so, to make this move, sometimes you have to go through some things. I have been tested. I can tell you this. I only get tested once, and it tells me to go ahead and make a change. I don't have to do it more than that. Wasting my time, I'm like, and we will raise said prices. Don't show up, and we will charge a no-show fee. You only have to live once through some of these situations to figure out what works and what doesn't work. So again, this has been another great lunch and learn with HouJack DMS live learning. Oh man, it's great talking with you guys. Stay tuned for the link for our selling extravaganza. We're going to bring it all together and talk about selling, because for all the work that people put into creating these amazing products and things, it's kind of awful when they don't move. But they don't move without you moving them. They will not sell themselves. Until then, talk to you.